this episode of PJ and the Beard. It's another quick update on the pedalboard build we're doing using the Carl Martin Octa-Switch. So we've already had an update showing some unboxing of the stuff we're using and one on the audio cabling. This one is really going to look at power and how we're going to power this beast. And there's enough power on here, really, when we plug it in, the lights might dim everywhere. So let's flip over to the board and check out what we have going on. All right, so the goal of this board is to make it something that can continue to grow and something we don't have to update all the time. So we're going to put a lot of power on this board. And I've been using Voodoo Labs pedal power stuff for boards ever since, for the last 20 years. Let's just say that. So there's two different units I'm going to put on this board. The first one is the new Pedal Power 3 Plus. And why I chose this particular unit for a couple reasons, but mostly if you look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 9-volt outs, but they're all at 500 milliamps. So any 9-volt pedal, we're going to be able to power that. And it's not like we have a couple 100s and a couple 250s. They're all 500. So we're good. We can power anything. Keep in mind, 500's all right. We're all right to be higher on the milliamps, right? We just need to make sure our voltage is right. We also have two outputs here that can either be 9 volt or 12 volt. So this really can do everything. We can do 9 volts, we can do 12 volts, and we can even do 18 volts, and that's just done with a simple adapter that would plug into two spaces at one time. There's also on this two outs, and so these are for the X-Link. So I can go out of these and power another pedal power. So the other pedal power that we're putting on the board is the X8, which is 8 more isolated DC outputs. All of them are 9 volts, 500 milliamps. So if you add that all up, we have 8 there. What do we say we have here? 10, 12 here. So we have 20 outputs, more than I'm going to need. That gives me some options. If we want to add an 18 volt pedal to the board, we can do that. If we want to add another pedal or two, we're going to be able to do that. So really the whole goal here was to put enough power on that we never kind of run out. So this one is just Velcroed on, and it was easy to do between these two rails. It fits, and it's not going anywhere. I was having trouble figuring out where to Velcro this one, and so instead I went with the Voodoo Lab or Pedaltrain mounts. And simply for those, you take out these two screws, you set them on there, you screw them back in, and then it comes with self-tapping screws that are going to allow me to connect it. And it's really simply just going to connect probably right here. So 4 self-tapping screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that thing's down and it's solid. It's not going anywhere. And I really like that option. I know a lot of people out there are like, well, just use Velcro. But because of spacing on this particular board, there was no real good place to Velcro it. And I wanted it too. That gets your jack for the cord right up against the back rail here. Really nice solution. I think well worth it. So tons of power here. I'm going to drill this in, and then we're going to run some cables. I did buy a bag of these cable ends. If I want to, initially was thinking, boy, it might be nice to cut the cables to length, and then so you cut them and you can just solder this onto the cable. But the more I've been thinking about it, that kind of defeats that purpose of being able to really adjust things if I want to, having a bunch of cables cut to length. So I might, in the end, not do that and might just end up wrapping some cables or something. As long as we can keep it kind of tidy, keep it out of the way, but most importantly, make it accessible. So that's where we're at. I'm going to get to work on that and then maybe show you the final result of that before this video ends. Anyway, that's where we're at. Power time. All right, so let's finish off this update with just a quick look at the bottom of the board. All the power's in. So cool to be able to just kind of plug in anywhere and not have to worry about whether it's 100 milliamps, 2 or 5, what the milliamp rating is, because everything's 500, everything's 9 volt. Didn't have to use any of the 12 volts, didn't have to run any 18 volts and get the adapter. So really everything was just like fair game, plug it in. Again, I thought about like cutting them all to length and then soldering new ends on, but I wanted to leave some room for growth and changing things around. So things are tied down. They're not going to flop around or go anywhere. Got the MIDI cables in too. So the MIDI cables are in for the R1 from Mako and for the tap tempo on the Nemesis. So I'm pretty happy with that. We'll flip it over real quick. And just to show, everything's lit up, right? Everything's working on. You can see over here, expression pedal TRS cables I made are working because that's moving up and down on the expressionator. And the speeds, you know, right now it's hooked up to the Lex. Faster, slower. So really excited, really happy. Now we just got to get an input from the guitar, and we got to get the 2 channel outs done. I'm waiting for a pass through, and I'll do one final update on that before we do like kind of a run through the whole build and how the Octa-Switch is working. So cool. That's it for today.